Happy Halloween, everybody. And Tessa, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, Paul.
Yes.
Baby.
Right. Now, before we get started with this interview, we would like to share a spooky offer with you. Isn't that right?
Yes, we do.
And what is the offer, Tessa?
Well, thanks to FEARHOUSE360, we have a promo code for a discount off of
The experience.
the experience.
$2 off, and you can get the entire experience for $3.99, which the regular price is $5.99. So you can pretty much save $2. And on top of that, all you have to do is type in the promotional code of Fear Everything. And with that, you should get your $2 off. And it's only a limited time though, so you better grab it before somebody else does. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and whether it be in Halloween or not, I guess happy Halloween anyway, because trick or treats and all that other jazz and ghosts and goblins and everything nice and terrible and yummy. I don't know. Anyway, with me is my lovely fiance.
Tessa Baker.
You should know me as Paul Dolsky, and today we're going to be talking about a very interesting take on I guess for lack of ways of putting it, and our guest here can even help us put it in a nice little bowl or bag of treat, depending on how you want to look at this. But it's like a cool way of a new interacting experience of really just having fun, and instead of it being like a game, it's more like a show, or you could say like a haunted manor that is straight out in your face in your phone or tablet or PC even. And this is the Fear House 360 experience. So, and with us to talk about this is Stacy Stearns. Welcome
Hi.
aboard, Stacy.
Thanks for having me. Hi, listeners. Happy Halloween.
Indeed. Do you have any good plans for the Halloween season today?
To tell you the truth, I'm celebrating we'll be celebrating the release of the third stave of Fear House by having I'll have a lot of teenagers over tonight. I'll just put it that way. So I'm going to be chaperoning some teens and probably strapping headsets on them so that they can experience the Fear House and Carbon Pumpkins and doing really traditional kind of family Halloween stuff. That's kind of how my love of things horror and haunted started. Was I had great Halloweens as a kid, so I got to owe that to my own kid, even though I've been dedicating most of my life to Fear House for the past 5 or 6 months, maybe a little longer. But yeah, it's good fun out here in LA, although I know it's a lot colder where you guys are, but we're actually having,
Yeah, it's actually great.
you guys are probably in snow right now. We've got the sun shining, but for LA, it's going to be pretty chilly tonight. It's probably going to be in the low 60s, maybe. So everyone's pretty excited because usually Halloween's pretty warm here.
Yeah, right now it's actually rain, and it's like 64 degrees, pardon me,
Oh,
64.
okay, that's not as bad as I thought. I thought you might be frozen already.
No, we had some frost like a couple mornings, but Canada actually has the snow right now, and so does Chicago.
Yeah.
But Stacey, real quick is can you if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about yourself and how you actually did get into the horror genre?
Yeah, I'll talk about myself and also my producing partners, Jason Schuler of Doctored Pictures and Jonathan Stearns of Channel Before Media, who's also my husband. Um, this Fear House 360 is a collaborative project by the three of us, but I'll kind of start with my own history. Well, I think it all started when I was staying with my grandparents in 1979. And my sister, she's actually the Fear House 360 legal counsel, but she could talk a person out of their clothes probably at about age 4. So it's great that she's a lawyer, but she managed to convince my grandparents that our parents had told us it was totally fine for them to take us to see the Amityville Horror in the movie theaters. And needless to say, I didn't sleep at night for a good week and I was terrified. But throughout my childhood and growing up, I just could not stop thinking about the images from that film. I really love that haunted house situation and the terrible things that could happen to you, and enjoyed letting my mind kind of rove into those places. I became a performance artist. I'm a theater artist and dancer, and as I started making my own work in New York City, I was kind of working a lot in the club world and the drag world, and that gave me the freedom to really manifest a lot of roles that I couldn't do in just your kind of straight up as a young woman getting cast in roles. Back in that day, things are changing a little bit now, but you're kind of seen as what you are. And so the drag and fantasy kind of heavy costumed club performance world let me go deeper into the subconscious landscapes of my mind. And I found that I really do enjoy traveling into violent spaces and highly dramatized spaces. This desire to make Fear House came out of my shared love of creating actual physical haunted houses. And Jason and Jonathan are both partners that I've had doing that over the years. And Jason's a theater maker, immersive theater maker, and also a filmmaker as well. And his costuming and his imagination, it just always, we met when he was about 19 years old. I'm not going to say how old I am, but if you know that, you can do the math. If you know, I was 8 years old in 1979. But we kind of bonded over the love of extreme performance. And when my husband came along, I found out that he was just as crazy for it as we were. And our desire to make this experience came out of wanting to do haunted houses, but the labor that's involved and the money out here in LA, it's kind of like, well, you produce this thing, but then it's over and no one, and people who weren't there can enjoy it. So Jonathan works in the immersive environment of 360 video. We thought, well, we can do this. We can do it and it can last forever and people all over the world can enjoy it. And all of our hard work won't dissolve on November 1st. So that's how it started. And it's gotten a lot bigger since then, because once you dig your teeth in to that kind of a project, it's like, well, we'll be producing every year a new goodie for our fans. Hopefully we'll be gathering more throughout the year and giving special updates and new adventures every year from here on out, at least till we're dead.
Well, that's awesome that you guys found a passion like that. And yes, haunted houses can be a pain. Tessa here actually used to be in a couple haunted houses, so she kind of knows what you're talking about when it comes to like building it and all that work that goes into it and stuff. So she definitely understands that. I like going into them, but unfortunately, it's like, hardly anything can really scare me anymore. And like, that's the joke around here. It's like, well, who can try to scare me? Let's see who can try to scare me. So, yeah. So Tessa, yeah, what did you tell Stacy here what you used to do for the haunted houses?
I participated in the haunted house 2 years in a row. It was actually for my cousins, and they pick a different theme each year that they would do it. The 2 years that I did participate in it, one year it was an insane asylum, and then the second year I participated, it was uh, It was for dark arts, School of Dark Arts.
Mm-hmm.
So the one year that it was an insane asylum, I was a psychotic nurse. I was fully decked out in a nurse's uniform, bloodied up and everything. I had whiteout contacts in. I did my own FX makeup on my face. I did stitching on my face. Um,
What was
I
your name?
my name was Nurse Eve Bola. Eve Bola. Yeah. Um, which I came up with that.
I love that.
And I carried around like my own scalpel, my own syringes, like everything. And the way that they had it was that when the guests came in, I was the first thing that the guests saw when they came into the asylum. I was standing up at the top of the stairs, and they had black lighting and flashing lights on me.
Mm-hmm.
So it really picked up the whiteout contacts. So like when I would like raise my eyes to look at everybody, that would be the first thing that they saw were my eyes. And like a lot of people, the way that they responded to me, they're like, "Holy shit! Who is she?" And there were times where I would come down the stairs, like very like creepily, like dragging my scalpel like along the wall,
Nice.
scraping it and stuff, like making eye contact the whole way down. And like people were trying to like run out of the hallway where I was, like away from her. They're like, "Oh no, I'm not going towards her. I'm going back this way."
Yeah, that's what happens when you let people do what they want. That's why we trapped them inside of our film.
Yeah, it's like so much. It's so much fun.
It's so much fun. I mean, I think that the only thing that's, see, when we made Fear House, and I have to say that it can be enjoyed. We're after our Stave 3 is coming out today, but for the listeners, it falls under the category of XR, which means everything inside of like people VR, virtual reality, augmented reality, and 360 video experiences. And right now, I'm noticing a lot of people don't know, there's a lot of, what should I say? Not that people don't know, but there's a lot of kind of blending of those terms.
Mm-hmm.
But VR is something where you can navigate around and make choices, and it's in a digitally fabricated environment. Our piece is not VR; it's immersive, but it's 360 video where the viewer moves through the environment, but if you stop at a door and there's an encounter going on, then sadly for the viewer, they have to stay put until they move again. So your freedom as a viewer is to look in any direction, and it can be different every time, but you can't run away like in an actual haunted house. So we're really taking advantage of that. I don't know if you guys have checked out Staves 1 and 2, but in 3, it all comes to a head where you realize, indeed, you actually, as a viewer, don't have any choices, and you're set for a pretty specific end. And that's, the difference between doing a live haunted house, which is so much fun, because you get to actually engage with people and see them scream while they run back away from you slowly. We're not going to get to see our viewers, but the viewer is a singular experience, and that person gets the attention of every ghost and ghoul and freak in the haunted house. And it's kind of like, we can't touch you, but we come really close. And the thing is that we went into it thinking like, oh, well, it's so much work to do a haunted house, which it is all completely worth it. But it was no easier doing Fear House. It was actually, if you could imagine doing a haunted house for about 5 continuous months. So by this point, we're so happy when we put our goggles on and get to go back into it, and that the bloody hand is not actually also sitting on my couch. That's pretty much where I'm at right now, because we made this all ourselves at a combination of studios and home studios, and it's my daughter said, you've completely desensitized me to everything. Like, it's kind of like, honey, could you please move that gallon of theatrical blood and put the scrambled eggs down on the table? But I think she's all the better for it because, it's a family business here for the most part. I mean, Jason's like family too. And, I did want to mention that all the similar, Tessa, to your experience being a creative performer inside of a haunted house, what you hit upon when you're talking about Nurse Ebola is that you brought your own artistry into your performance, and in the same spirit of that, the artists that we invited to perform in FEARHOUSE360 brought a similar type of thing. Now, that it was scripted, however, I knew most of the performers, and when we talked with them as we were developing the script, it's kind of like, well, what kind of entity do you prefer to be? What do you want to do? Because they brought a lot to it, and our amazing makeup artist Gregory Barnett helped realize these characters. But the thing I really like about the haunted house format, and I think it kind of spreads into horror in general, is that people do what they want to do, and it's artistically freeing and kind of outside of the status quo. When you're talking about a lot of forms of media, is that you've got people running a little bit off the hook with what their choices are, and when they start going down that road of what horror is to them, you start to see a little bit about that person. You get let into their psyche, and that to me is the space that we're trying to access with FEARHOUSE360. We touch on a lot of stuff, like there's a lot of humor and there's a lot of pain. And in coming up in Stave 3, it really takes a major turn for the worse, and it'll satisfy like the psycho clown club out there, Oh, that's all I'm going to say, but it kind of shifts from psychological to another kind of horror there for a minute. But what I saw in my performers was like an opening into their psyche. I thought, okay, this is why I'm attracted to you, because you're messed up. And you're not afraid you're not afraid to show it. So I feel, Tessa, do you want to continue to do that live performance stuff, or is the durational aspect of it kind of too much for you?
No, it's not too much for me. I actually really enjoy being creepy and like sadistic and everything. I feel more comfortable being creepy and psychotic than being normal.
I love it.
And I actually do very well being creepy, like a little too much. Like I scared my own mother. Like my mom came through the haunted house both years I was in it, and I had my whiteout contacts both years, but I did two separate characters both years, and I brought my own characters to life. I breathed life into my own characters. I created them. Mm-hmm. So when my mom came into my room the second year when I was the Dark Witch, and the way my room was set up was I had the biggest room in the house because I was the focal point of the entire haunted house. My room was called the Summoning Room. Nice. And I had a succubus demon, which was my niece, and she was dressed up as a succubus demon, and she had like these contact lenses that were picked up by UV lights, and we had UV lights all over the room. Oh, so nice. When the UV lights hit her eyes and my eyes, that's what you would see, like, first thing. And I had, like, a summoning circle set up on the floor with, like, bones, fake blood, everything. Mm-hmm. I even had, like, a willing participant who was like, I'll be your willing, like, human sacrifice to summon the demon. So I actually had a living body on the floor, like, that I was kneeling over, like, with, like, props, like, my own props and everything. And I had a fog machine in the room with me, too. So the way I was sitting on the floor, like, the fog came around me, so when I looked up, when people came in the room, all they could see were my eyes coming out of that fog. And they're just, and a lot of people like just like ran right out of the room. They're like, nope, 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 I'm not doing this. I'm going back this way. I ain't going towards her. Do you see her? And then I would like start chanting, and then like my niece, who is the succubus demon, would come out of her cave, and she would come over towards me, and like I would say something, and she would like turn her attention and look right at the people, and they're like, holy shit, nope, we're going back this way. Turn around right now. We're not going towards them. Do you see them? Like, no. Well, this room is a whole lot of no.
That's a great name for a haunted house period. A whole lot of no.
Yeah, I personally love performing. I'm very much myself when I am allowed to, like I said, breathe life into my characters. I actually like bringing things to life, like through me. So as a performer, I relatively enjoy it. So when Paul was like, okay, I need a lady in white, and I was like, I'll do it. Let me do it. Like, you won't be disappointed, I can promise you. You know, so when it got to like the final car scene, and he's like, I need you to like take this liquid and make this look creepy, like when you go to speak, and I'm like, okay, I got you.
Yeah, that was that moment of that attack, really, the way it looks and everything. I was like, yeah, I really like things that are very hyper saturated with like just vibe. And I really found, because those of us here at Fear House, we're all super into stuff. Like, we love the original, like, old silent film horror, and the high drama of that, along with the kind of really stylized bizarreness of things like Liquid Sky or the classic. I mean, I'm a Rocky Horror Picture Show fan too as well, so like my love of camp humor, it's like the camp and the humor side of horror is also really where I'm at. And that's, as you can see in FEARHOUSE360, my alter ego Frau Clunch, who's performed as Hair Clunch in New York for a long time, but she's gone through different identity refurbishings. But that place, that person that I become, that highly dramatic and completely steeped in the horror, and basically that's all I can say. Horror, and there's something palpably luscious and rich and kind of delicious to me, and all of us here at Fear House, about just settling into that part of your psyche and speaking to the subconscious parts of other people who enjoy the same thing.
I have to completely agree with you on that. Like, I was like so incredibly like empowered and like satisfied to tap into that part of my psyche. Like, I absolutely was loving it. Like, I was feeding off of it. Like, I don't know how else to explain it other than how, like, you kind of just explained it. You, like, hit it, like, right on the head, like...
Literally.
Like... like, that's exactly how, like, I felt when I was participating in the haunted house. And when I did, like, The Passenger with Paul, I was just, like, really into it. And, it's just... It's kind of euphoric in a way, like the feeling that comes over you when you can tap into that part of yourself that you don't normally show to other people, like, openly. To be given that, like, creative, like, freedom and expression just to just unhinge. It's lovely. Like, it's just so freaking... Like you said, it's delicious. It's just like
it's delicious.
It's just an amazing feeling when you can just be like come unhinged like that.
Well, I really feel like this, the kind of invitation that all the horror is so vast, and there's so many detailed corridors and different things that tickle different people's fancies, I guess. But the thing that I really find is true is that when you connect with people inside of that realm of play and that realm of I'm really going to go all the way into something that's taboo. I think what we're talking about is there is a sort of taboos around things like murder and all of these things that we occupy ourselves with when we engage in the ideas that are inside of horror. And a lot of people call it work with archetypes, or I mean my as I was speaking about our makeup artist Gregory Barnett, who's also a performance partner of mine. I mean, I've got a lot of really great partners in this work. It's a huge labor of love, but he and I work in terms of performance, really talk about accessing archetypes. And so when we were working together on Fear House, it wasn't just, we wanted to have some classic tropes. We wanted to really go into some of the classic Halloween archetypes, although this experience is not it's not limited to Halloween by any extent of the imagination. We released it. We wanted to hit the scene for Halloween to establish ourselves as a source, for people's horror needs in this immersive way, which I want to encourage your audience and you guys too. I don't know if you guys watched it with goggles or whatever, but the platform for viewing this type of material it's getting so much easier for people to just use the Vimeo app, or to go utilize there's different platforms and stuff for just turning your phone into a stereoscopic viewer that you pop into goggles. Next thing you know, you're inside of an environment. And I don't know if I have to, probably you guys don't need to be told that, but a lot of folks I'm finding, they're like, oh, they think it's like a big job to experience it. It's kind of like our phones do this. And our phones are smarter than we are, because they're telling us, hey, we can actually go inside the house. Like, I always wanted to be inside of Nightmare on Elm Street, I want to go inside the house. I want to turn around and see what's behind me. Or if I were in Poltergeist, I'd really want to be like, looking around me in all directions. And when I feel that, and it's only possible, like we were performing when we were creating it and shooting, but the immersive nature of how it's experienced only comes together in post-production. So it's a trip as a primarily theatrically based performer to put my goggles on and experience the Fear House that we've made and be inside of an environment that did not fully exist until it was composited together. But I do want to also say to you guys and to your viewers that everything in the FEARHOUSE360 is real. Like, it's an actual place and an actual object, which differentiates us from virtual reality as well. So it's tangible. I feel there's that sense of tangibility that I love when I'm in haunted houses, or when I go to haunted places and get kind of like freaked out or whatever. It's like, ooh, there's that haunted china cabinet, or oh, there's that axe or something, and there's something about the palpable thing that we know from being performers, is that objects and costumes and people have the energy that comes off of them that's undeniable. And if someone's really channeling, like, or diving deep into their own imagination, and they're daring to be there they're daring to embody it, you can feel a charge in the room. And that's what I don't know, that's what I'm looking forward to hearing from people. Do you get that charge when you're inside of the Fear House? Like, do you feel the vibe? I do, but I'm so deep in it, I'm not sure.
Well, to answer your question, yes, we did try to check it out, but I don't know if it's just the weather or what is going on. But like, we were almost done with the first video, and then it decided it wanted to just stop, and I'm like, and then like next thing I know, it's like the internet was like out or something, and I'm like, oh geez, I'm crying. So we tried to do it again, like on the PC. And like same thing kind of happened. It was just like, okay, I guess we'll just check it out later.
Oh,
I guess that it's just so intense that it's not going to let us fully watch it.
Yeah.
Well, there's, what you could do. They have, and through the desktop computer, I think you can do it too. I know through the app on a tablet or on a phone, there's a tab that says watch, like I think that download to watch later. If you've got sketchy internet happening because of weather or wherever you happen to be, you can download it to be watched offline.
I was looking for that too. I was wondering if there was a way to
I got
download
my
it.
tablet.
All right. Well, out of curiosity, Stacy, is like for when you guys started to finally work on Fear House 360.
Mm-hmm.
Now, could you could definitely tell this is all like real people, real environment. Now, is some of that green screen, or is that really all just like a decked out place? And also, how long did it take you guys to record? I don't know how many. I'll just say episode for the lack of how you want to look at it. But how many episodes can we expect? And like, could did you kind of do it all at once? Did you do it separately? What was your like experience working on it?
Well, we've had multiple shoots over, from start to finish. I mean, we began working on this, let's see, last March, but production-wise, actual production, we've been in production since June, and that involved multiple shoots and ADR recording sessions, and the post-production is where the magic really happens. As far as a curse has been put on me by my fellow producers where they said, if you discuss the details too much about how, then we're going to turn you into a gnarly witch. And since I'm really close to that already, I decided I'm going to listen to it. So I can't give away our movie magic and answer your question directly, but I can say that everything is real. Everything was built, and everything you see exists in a physical form. And a great deal of compositing was part of the movie magic in post-production. So that is all I can say, because it's such a unique way that the ghosts and ghouls inhabit the Fear House environment that it's really hard to tell. Some people think that it's VR. They're like, oh, that's a VR mansion. It's like, no, it's actually real. It is actually a real thing. So we're protecting the secret for a while until we probably, maybe next year after we release, next Halloween, we'll be releasing an updated Fear House with more rooms and additional material. We'll probably start to leak it out. But as far as answering your question about how many episodes, the experience, like from start to finish of going through the Fear House, like in the traditional sense of how a haunted house experience, resolves itself, that takes place over the course of 3 staves. We're calling them staves, the episodes, and it kind of that sort of completely refers to my obsession with Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, as he called his chapters staves. And so it's a little reference because I have a fantasy of doing something as Frau Clunch related to A Christmas Carol. And everyone's like, oh, everyone does A Christmas Carol. It's so overdone. And I'm like, some classic ghost stories just never get old, in my opinion. But that's a whole other story. But we call them staves out of a nod to my obsession, I guess. And but with the series, people rent the series. They get all 3 staves. It's $5.99, and then tons of we're going to be releasing throughout the rental period. Whenever you start, you get 6 months, but additional behind the scenes, some of the special effects, background stuff. I've got some assembly videos of a body that is figures prominently in Fear House 360. And some behind the scenes interviews, and kind of throughout the year there'll be special, like we have a Christmas gift coming out that'll be included in the series, and that'll probably be available to folks through YouTube as well, just free through our channel there. Because like as you were saying, there's something, it's challenging at this moment, is the bandwidth, that sometimes people have a hard time processing, actually viewing 360 material online. But it's getting easier and easier with platforms like Vimeo and YouTube supporting it. And we're working throughout this coming year. We're interested in talking to other platforms that are working through other app-based delivery methods, so that it gets easier and easier for people to pop on their headsets or just use their phone in a monoscopic way and immerse themselves. It works very well to always be using headphones, because like our composer and sound designer Ian Stahl made such a lush environment that once you pop those headphones on, it's like another aspect of the immersive experience that all of us who love horror movies, we really love to feel like we're completely surrounded. I think that's why horror movies continue to do so well in the theaters, because people like to go get surrounded by darkness and just really dig in. So this is kind of our home theater experience. I hope you guys are able to check it out and get deeper with it. As soon as we get Stave 3 out later on today, we're going to be putting together a 2D edit of the whole thing, though. And so I'll alert you guys, because for people who are having challenges with their accessibility, their Wi-Fi situation or whatever, there's a 2D version where we're going to navigate around for you. It's just you don't get your choice there, because you might be looking at the hero action that's right in front of you, but there's always something happening behind you too.
Which I did notice that too when I did have a chance to check this out. That I was looking at everywhere. I was looking behind me, in front of me, and stuff like that. I think one of the favorite scenes that I have so far is the beginning of the very first stave, where you're running and there's like a car, and then like the guy gets out with the shovel and like hits you over the head. So I thought that beginning was actually kind of cool.
Oh, it's like we like to place the viewer in the victim role, right?
Exactly.
It's like that's kind of fun. And that character, his name is Thunk, and he is actually played by Jason Schuler, our co-producer. He's a brilliant performer. And Thunk continues to factor into the violence that's perpetrated on the viewer throughout.
He was also funny with the oh God, what was the trailer? I think it was the How the 360 Experience Works video when he was in the chair with the goggles on. Yeah. That was funny.
Yeah, Jason and I are kind of like an old vaudevillian pair sometimes. Our history runs deep, so you can really see the humor in the relationship between Frau Clench and Thunk. It's kind of, nobody really knows if they're cousins or siblings, but it's very, very absolutely certain that she has the upper hand, even though he does all the dirty work. So, I don't know what happened to him to make him that way, but he's definitely our classic nod to characters like, the Igors of the world and the Hunchback of Notre Dame, etc. But he's got his own personality for sure.
Yeah, he definitely reminded me of, I want to say Igor from like Young Frankenstein a little bit.
Yeah, we can't claim to be unaffected by Mel Brooks over here.
Right? And that's so funny. Well, so I guess that's good that we're gonna be getting like a full on like virtual experience with everything thrown together. That's nice too. So that way it's like you don't have to stop and have to hit play on the other one just to get back into the mood of feeling like you're already there. So just continuously doing it is just gonna make it much more creepier, better, and a whole new way of experience too. But what was I gonna say too is Have you guys thought of already like the next ideas that you wanted to do for Fear House, or do you just kind of want to, or did your team want to see how this one kind of plays out first?
Well, we have some ideas bouncing around. We have a lot, and we did actually. I'm glad you brought up the thing about them all being strung together, because let me just comment on the reason why we broke them into these staves. We had been, a lot of people are not used to putting on the goggles and being in there for a really long time. And
Yep.
so, because some people get motion sickness or they're just like get confused. I like to do it standing up, but a lot of people like to sit in a swivel chair so they don't accidentally fall over the furniture. But I just put I just fold a towel in half and stand on it with bare feet so that if I feel the edges of it, I know I better stop or I'm going to trip. And my dog knows by now to get out of the way too. But that, I like to experience the whole thing. And so it will be put out all continuously, but you just made me think of a to-do list item that I have, because basically setting up this Vimeo on demand format is really great, but I'm going to make direct follows, auto plays from stave 1 to stave 2 to stave 3. People will see the credits again, but they'll know that that's a place they can pause. But we are going to just remove the credits in between each episode and throw them all together as well. But as far as the ideas, I think that we're probably going to have a producer arm wrestle, or in order to decide which direction we're going, or we are also going to be querying our fans, and finding out, well, what are you hungry for? No pun intended, based on the theme of FEARHOUSE360 this year. But we are going to be taking some comments and really engaging with our fans and stuff to see, well, which way you want to go, or where, because the thing about the haunted house format is that it gives you little snippets of, you get it's like a tasting meal where it's like, oh, well, here's the room where I'm really freaked out because the tarot card reader just told me something I don't want to know. And here's the room where, there's something really that makes me feel like my body, makes me feel very disturbed about the possibility of things that are going to happen to my body. Or here's, the child that's totally flipping me the heck out, and all these kind of things. And then, like I said, we're coming up on the Rocco Carney, our everyone's favorite psychotic killer clown. We're going to be open to hearing what people are particularly respond to, and see what we can enhance for next year, and even additional full offerings for next year. But the three of us, Jason, Johnny, and I, each have kind of some desires. Like, I have a desire to go fully into an aesthetic that is like the earliest black and white silent horror films. Like, I want to go deep into that. Johnny's got another plan having to do with interactivity. We were also considering opening up the doors into augmented reality, where we're making material that people can see things inside of the environment that they're in. So all this is kind of, we're open to all conversations, and we're hoping that people will reach out to us through our Instagram and Facebook after seeing it and be like, oh yeah, this would be cool, or this is what we want more of, because we're here to please our fellow horror fans. We're not really, we've got no shortage of ideas, but which direction we go next is kind of still up in the air.
I like that. Yeah, because then you can touch on probably bringing more of what people actually enjoyed about this current Fear House, and then you could actually amp it up more in the next season, I'll say.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's what an interactive format like any type of XR is all about. As an artist, a theatrical artist, I've been doing certain things, like certain characters or certain performances, over a great many years, and I always found that it was in the latter part of those runs, when I'd had so many conversations with people, audience members, about what they connected to, that really informs the way I work as a performer. But now working in this film and 360 video environment, And like Johnny always says, Johnny Stearns is what I call Jonathan, but he always says, filmmaking, which is at the core what we're doing. He says filmmaking is always a collaborative process. It's not an auteur thing where one person is saying like, no, it has to be my way because I know, because nobody knows until it hits the audience. The viewer is the person. I don't consider myself like a panderer or an artist who is looking for mass appeal, like permission from everybody to do what I want to do. But I am an artist, and I think that all three of us and everyone involved with Fear House is like, we're seeking our people, but our people are wide. And like, if someone's like, gosh, I really, really, really want to feel more what it feels like to be with that clown type, that vibe, or I really, really like going inside of the Hellmouth, which is in Stave 3, you guys will find out. But that type of feedback is kind of like, I'm happy to give you what you want. I mean, we're all here together. I want to entertain people and bring them on board so we can all continue this love of the genre. And I really like the community around this type of work because people are super open and super giving, and everybody just wants to kind of have people to enjoy their favorite stuff with, which is really quite refreshing. In other performance and art contexts, I'm not going to put them down at all. I walk in a lot of worlds, but there's a certain warmth and camaraderie inside of horror that is really, it really speaks volumes about the inherent beauty of being a human being, I think. We even if our hands are dipped in blood. It's strange to feel so warm and fuzzy.
The ooziness. Yeah.
Yeah, I do have to agree with you though. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun to get down to the nitty gritty and the bloodiness.
The bloodiness.
Yeah, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, the only thing that I'm really sad about, I think I'm just gonna have to do like the back, as far as like Fear House's backstage stuff. Like, I really wish we were all working. It was really down and dirty. I mean, it's been a very down and dirty process with a lot of labor, with a lot of awesome artists. But the thing that I did not foresee would be how hilarious our outtakes would have been if I had a camera rolling. And so there's certain high points and low points that after the whole thing's out, I can kind of discuss more about the FX that are coming up in Stave 3, the FX experience, when you're working in a basement, and you've got like a lot of plastic to make sure that you can clean up the blood. And there's something about like, after it's all done and the camera's not rolling anymore and your body's covered with blood and you're literally mopping up, it looks like you're covering up an actual murder scene. You think, why am I not filming this right now? This is so hilarious. Like, I had to
new Dexter.
Yeah. It's like your own little Dexter. Yeah, you're just like, what possessed me to not be documenting the fact that it's like, we're on set, we've got this situation, when you're a producer, you're doing everything, as you know, and there you are, and you realize, oh, I didn't bring a change of clothes. I'm about to be covered in blood. I think I got my sewing machine here. I literally made myself a Dobby rag on the last one of our big shoot days, and I was like in a Dobby rag pretty much, mopping up so much blood, and everyone's standing there kind of, it was the end of a very long shoot, and everyone's kind of like, leaning against things, and there I am scrubbing up in a Dobby rag. I thought, this is the movie. I think the movie should be making the movie, like Living in Oblivion or something. I don't know if you ever saw that film with Steve Buscemi where
it sounds familiar. Yeah,
filming of an independent film. It's hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But
oh, yeah.
I missed that opportunity, but maybe for FEARHOUSE360 too, we'll make sure to have like at least a surveillance cam back on our set or something.
That would be funny. Yeah, we did little bloopers on when we were doing our little short horror film, and like sometimes you'll just be at a random, like, there's one that's already on YouTube before I added it into the bloopers because I kind of wanted to make it its own little video, but what it is, it's like a split screen, so you not only see my end of the camcorder, but you also see my friend's end from his camera that he was using.
Oh, cool.
So, like that was just completely random. Like, we didn't just, like, say, like, I didn't just be like, oh, hey, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna turn this into a thing. It was me literally just saying, okay, we're done with this scene, and then I hit I started walking away, and I hit the stop button to record, and then I hit it again, and then I started to go into, like, the little blooper thing, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, but yeah, that's all there. And then I don't want to, like, give the moment away, but I thought it was really funny. But we have this weird problem with one of our car windows where, like, if you try to roll it up, it will come back down. So, like, you have to literally wait for the window to go all the way up, and then you got to hit the down button to actually stop it.
Before it completely closes.
Yeah, before it completely closes.
And then kind of, like, inch it closed.
Yeah. And then, so our friend didn't know that. So when we were trying to do, like, audio or something, he tried to, like, put up the window, but it kept coming down on him. And he's just like,
what is going on
what's going on here? This road's haunted. Oh my God, you guys came out here. You guys brought me out here to kill me, didn't you? And I'm like, oh, geez, here we go.
It's like The Car, but you just can't. Well, speaking of Mel Brooks, it's like that scene in High Anxiety where the priest, I think it's a priest, gets stuck in his car, and the rock and roll music's playing. They do sort of a little homage to I can't remember which Hitchcock film it was, but he dies on the side of the road because he can't get out of his car. But,
yeah.
You know, but no, I love that. You should just tell your friend, like, yeah, ever since, so and so died in this seat, you can't roll the window up. It's just, I didn't want to tell you. We bought the car used, but we found out there was a really brutal murder in here.
Yeah, it doesn't like people in here.
Yeah, it doesn't like, yeah, it's sort of like if you see her without her baby carriage, yeah, I don't know. I can't tell you.
If
Not
you
a
hear
good
that
day.
bump on the road, I don't know what it was. Yeah. But I can't really think of anything else right now. But Tether, do you have anything to ask about Stacy, about Fear House, or anything in general for horror?
No, it was a pleasure talking with you, though, Stacy. Honestly, I rather enjoyed that.
I did too.
A lot.
Y'all are nice people. I really enjoyed. I really appreciate you having me on here and letting me share a little bit about FEARHOUSE360. And I do. If you guys you have my contact info, just let me know if you encounter any difficulties. I will let you know when the full thing is up. Well, you should get a notice from Vimeo when the continuous one is up, so you can just pop on the headset, look for the kind of offline viewing option so that it'll download it for later, and then get yourself in a swivel chair, turn out the lights, and have a blast.
Yeah, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. And speaking of which, since it is Halloween, just out of curiosity, I always got to ask it around this time, but for a real life thing now, Stacy, do you actually believe in the paranormal?
Absolutely.
Do you have any type of weird story that you would like to share, or one or two or something?
Yeah, well, I could actually share a little bit about the filming of Fear House in a space that is haunted. Yeah, when we live in LA and produced it in LA here, and there's a wonderful space for the arts called Automata in Chinatown, and that's where we did some of our filming. And Greg and I went in to load in. We were using the basement area as a staging area for makeup and costume. And we went in the day before to load in our costumes and our makeup setup and everything like that. And he and I are both very sensitive to the paranormal. And we walked in there, and he's like, we go down into that basement. He's like, oh wow, yeah, somebody, we're not alone here. And so we did a little, he checked it out for a while. We basically realized that we had to do something. We were going to have some problems with the filming if we didn't acknowledge the spirits inside of there. And so we put up an altar for them. They wanted flowers, so we gave them flowers and stuff. And throughout the entire shoot, and he and we completely believe in that and regularly communicate with entities. My grandmother taught me about that real early on, but but she's no longer with us. But she had always kind of initiated me into the world, into the understanding that spirits are here with us. But we were going along through the filming, and they were getting really playful. Like, he would just sit down. He'd be working on someone's face, and he'd set down like the little white tube of makeup right next to where his brushes were, and he'd turn around and work on their face and turn back around to get the white tube. It's not there. There was little, like, he'd say, where did I just put that? And the person sitting there would be like, yeah, you did just put it there. I don't know where it is now. And he'd be looking everywhere for it. And a little while later, there it is again. And we're just like, are you kidding me, guys? Because we really are on a tight schedule here. And and there was just little things like that throughout. But on the very last day, I was the last person in the space cleaning up. And our sound designer, and composer, Ian, calls me up. He's like, okay, I'm going to be over with the truck in about an hour. Are you doing okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I just have I'm still scrubbing the blood up, but whatever. And I'm looking down the stairs into the basement where we had so many friends. And there's a coiled up electrical cable. And I'm just staring at it like absentmindedly while I'm talking to him on the phone. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And the thing just looks like someone picked it up and moved it 5 inches and put it down again. I was just like, I'm not sure if I'm good. I just saw the thing move. And so that was all like, Johnny was like, are you sure you're not, letting your mind get carried away with you? And I said, I absolutely am 100% positive. And there's a man named Jimmy Wong who runs the Benevolent Society, the Chinese Benevolent Society that's in the same court down there in the Chinatown. And he'd befriended us when we were moving in. He's about 83, 85 years old by now. And I went down to talk with him on our way out, and I said, Jimmy, I got to tell you, there are spirits inside of that basement. And he said, well, of course there are. I'm glad you noticed that. He said, my uncle ran a store in that space for 40 years. I grew up there, but there's always spirits there. He's like, I'm good. He said, I'm glad you all recognize that. So, and I said, well, then in that case, can I give you the flowers that we had for them? Because I'm afraid to come out and just throw them in the garbage when I move out. And I'm wondering if they're going to be mad. And he said, yeah. And so he put the flowers on his altar in the Benevolent Society. So, we thanked the hosts. And I'm seriously like, I think that they enjoyed it because they really seemed to be having fun. But my dog hated being there the whole time. I brought her to one day of the shoot, and I didn't bring her back the next day because she was not into it at all. So,
yeah.
I mean, you guys believe in it, obviously, or do you believe in it?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Because I mean, I don't see how anybody could be that interested in ghost stuff and not believe in it.
It's a hit or miss. I mean, it's weird. I mean, this type of topic can really like go into an entire episode alone of just talking about it, just because of the different way people look at it, I guess, and how they it's like religious thing too. Like, like this person can be the Christian, right? And they believe in their God and stuff. And I'm not trying to like bash it here, but it's like that. Like, perfect example would be like, I know people who are Christian, but they do not believe in spirit. And it's just like, I am confused right now.
Right. It's like, okay, so we only get to have the Holy Ghost. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
No. I mean, I think that churches are some of the most haunted places in the world because spirit is there. Like, if your people are regularly talking to spirits, it's like it's a little bit like the internet. It's not like there's a private internet just for Jesus. And I hope I'm not offending any of your listeners either, but it's like, oh, so if you can talk to that one, are you saying that it's a closed circuit? Because I'm kind of thinking that when you open the doors into, I mean, the veil is so thin, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier in terms of this thing of what it feels like when you embody these characters and things. Like, I believe that we're opening ourselves up to, any level of, whether you want to call it channeling or full out possession. I mean, I've seen things ranging, as far as the performers that I know. Yeah, you've got your kind of straight actors who are like, I play a role, I develop a character, and that's just me translating something through my body. And then you have other performers who are like, no, I'm channeling. I'm channeling right now. That's not, I'm preparing my body in order to speak something else that I may or may not know. And a lot of people, when the conversation goes there, that's when sometimes people label you as like woo woo, and then, or they get afraid of you, or they think you're a heretic. I'm not discounting the existence of whatever gods people have, but I just say if you're gonna count them in, then count in my grandma Grace too. So she's the one who taught me. It's like I know she's here. I mean, she always told me a story about her father passing and how he appeared to her as a ghost to let her know. And that was like, I was 5 years old when she told me that story, and it was like, I never was going to doubt that. I knew very well that it was true. I didn't think she was crazy. I found it very comforting to think that, well, maybe if someone's on the other side of the line, we can still be friends,
Exactly, yeah. We still have that, like, it's like that term, guardian angel. Like, we have that guardian angel that watches us. It's not just one thing. It can be our lost loved one. And that's where I find it sad nowadays, and I think Tessa can agree with this, and I don't know about you, Stacy, but with the way things have been going on with Halloween, people were trying to take Halloween out of schools, and now trick-or-treaters have an age limit now. Otherwise, you can get fined and all this other jazz.
It's crazy.
And, like, the one thing that I think people are forgetting about Halloween is that it's literally the time where the veil between the living and the dead is open, and it's the chance where the dead can actually come and roam the earth for 3 days, and that's where we can start to communicate again with our lost loved ones, and just the past, really. And I think a lot of people forget that too, because they just think it's just nothing but just dressing up and get candy, where really it's so much more than that, than what people really think. And I find that sad because, it's like we got the Day of the Dead, where it's like, it's today, it's tomorrow, and Saturday, and then that's it. And then nobody seems to really care, if that makes sense. But, like, then there's people like Tessa and I, and you probably, from it sounds like, that actually appreciate the Day of the Dead, and we celebrate it in the way it's meant to be celebrated.
I couldn't agree more, and that does kind of get back to that kind of is the heart of like where this particular project of FEARHOUSE 360 came for what it occupies in my life. I mean, it represents collaborations with people who are important to me around subjects that we are passionate about, and we're not passionate about it just from an artistic standpoint or just from a this is, it's certainly not like, this is a great space in which to be making a consumer product. It's like, yeah, it is a consumer product because it is for sale. I can't, like, if I were a millionaire, I would produce stuff all day and just give it to the world. You know what I mean? That would be a beautiful thing. But, I mean, the reason why we are created this is it's like it encapsulates, it kind of contains my immediate community of people and artists that when we're doing it, it's not just about what you can see with your eyes. It's about what you believe and what you think your activities elicit. Like just like this thing of being a performer where you dive in and when you're engaging with other people through that space, you're talking directly to a part of them that might be really subconscious, you know? And I believe that kind of the veil that we're talking about, the separation between this plane and other planes is really locked. It's locked in with these societal kind of conditionings. And we really live in a world right now where societal conditioning is telling us not to follow our gut, not to believe in instinct, not to believe in the senses, and to just kind of believe in what we're told. Like, oh, well, yeah, taking Halloween out of schools, it's like, are you kidding me? Because if you're afraid of, what kids are going to, the devil's going to touch them or something like that, it's like, that's why I kind of believe in like the Jungian approach to digging out, talking to the shadow inside of us. It's like that bloody, screaming nightmare person inside of me is one fragment of my human experience. And I do think that vengeful ghosts and ghosts that haunt violently are probably were people who were very repressed and very misunderstood and treated really terribly by society. And so their eternal rage is very well founded. And I could be inviting a lot right now talking about on Halloween, but I'm not afraid of those ghosts. I might experience fear, but I'm not afraid of talking to them. Like if they want to show me something, I'll see it. And I do think that audiencing ghosts in that way is a part of the reason why they're haunting, is like this, just like human beings have a need to be seen. Like if you're not seen and acknowledged, how painful that is. And, I guess that's kind of part of the work of engaging with these kinds of ideas. And I'm always happy to represent that to people. If it isolates me, if people think I'm totally crazy, well, that's okay.
Hey, I guess I'd fall into that crazy category then too, because
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
I believe in everything you just said. So yeah, it's just that simple. I mean, and you brought up a really cool point that I wanted to point out real quick before we do wrap this up is maybe that's all spirits want. They just want that acknowledgement. They just at least want to say hello to somebody, so that way they at least know that hey, I'm still here. And then that's all they want. Like, your story about the flowers. Maybe that could, giving them flowers could mean so much, and we really don't really maybe know it. I mean, maybe they just felt forgotten and they missed the sight of flowers. So maybe that's why they wanted flowers. Or maybe when they passed away, they didn't get flowers. There's so many ideas that you could go through about what they're trying to tell you, and unless they physically tell you, but otherwise, there's so many questions left to be unanswered. And anybody that says they're an expert in this type of field, I don't want to say crap, but like even though I almost just did, but like in this field, they're dead wrong, because we're not even close to understanding, I don't think. And I don't think we're really ever going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either. And, it's funny because, like, I'm not so sophisticated. Greg is really good at talking to them and knowing what they want. And I won't discuss his methods here just because he's not with me. But, he really was like, he just got a clear answer. He's like, they want flowers. And I was like, well, go get them flowers right now. And
yeah, exactly.
We were laughing about it because we thought this isn't your traditional way of setting up a makeup area, is to like leave the site to go find flowers for the ghosts there. But you know what? It's going to pave the way for the rest of the shoot to go well. And I actually felt incredibly blessed during the whole thing. I did feel like I I have felt a bit of an embrace during it that's helped keep us going. Because as you know, when you're making something and it's a lot of work, and there's so many moving parts. But when you have a little sense of like a little nod from the universe somehow, some other dimension saying, "Yeah, keep going, you're good. Just do it."
Yeah,
So,
exactly. If they like it, then keep going.
yeah, that's all we can really hope for.
Yeah, or they're just trying to help in their own way. They're like, oh, hey, then they give you that nod, and then that's all they wanted you to do. It's like they wanted to acknowledge whatever that was going on, really, as the sign, really, I guess. It's like I said, that type of thing can go on for ages. But anyway, yes, Stacy, I don't want to take up more of your time, but it was a pleasure to meet you. And then the last thing too is, for people listening, is where can we keep up to date and where can we find FEARHOUSE 360?
Thank you for asking, Paul. Okay, so all of you great listeners, if you want to experience FEARHOUSE 360 or check us out, we have a trailer online. If you just go to www.fearhouse360.com, that'll take you to our Vimeo on demand page. We've got a trailer there. We've got info, super easy to get. Vimeo has a great support platform. So that it can be viewed on all devices, and they're really amazing people, and it's a great. I highly recommend the Vimeo video on demand platform for all independent filmmakers and XR makers. But that's how you do it. And we also have an Instagram, which is at FEARHOUSE360, and I manage that. So if you want to check in with me, talk to me, reach out, just go to Instagram, FEARHOUSE360. We also have a Facebook page, so we're really easy to find, and we'd love to talk with anybody who wants to talk with us. And we hope that everybody who checks out FEARHOUSE360 enjoys it, and I hope everyone has an awesome haunting season.
All right. Well, thank you again, Stacy, and we'll have to have you back on so we can talk more about the FEARHOUSE. Maybe either when everything is done with this one, or for when you guys are ready to start on your next one or something. We'll have another chit chat.
That would be fun, Paul. I really appreciate meeting you and Tessa. It was lovely to meet you, Tessa.
It was lovely to meet you too, Stacy. I enjoyed talking with you very much.
Me too. Enjoy your Halloween celebrations tonight, guys.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
And for everybody else listening, make sure you buckle up, tie down the house, and knock on the door 3 times to wake up the witch, because everybody needs to know you always need to stay scary.